Hi everyone, I'm Mejer and I'm an immigration attorney. In today's video, I'm going to give you some updates about things happening in immigration in the US. We are all aware of the Georgia election results, but what does that mean for you in your immigration journey? We're going to talk about that today. My name is Mejer. I'm an immigration attorney and an immigrant. I moved to the US as a child from Chile. I didn't speak English, and I learned from watching Sesame Street. I and my family went through what many of my clients experienced before they worked with me. We hired an attorney. They didn't do squat. We paid them $5,000 and they never did what they were supposed to do. We had to figure out the immigration system ourselves. I got my green card and my citizenship, but not all of my family were so fortunate. It was stressful and took longer than it should have, but I became an immigration attorney so that I could be the type of attorney I wish my parents had. One who took away the stress of the process and helped them reach their immigration goals, even when others said it couldn't be done. If you like these videos, please subscribe to our page and follow it. We really appreciate those who like, share, and comment. The more people we can help, the happier we are. Now let's talk about some good news. Georgia is now blue. That's amazing. But what does it mean? I feel like I've mentioned this so many times in the past few months, ever since the election in November. We were all waiting to see what would happen in this runoff election in Georgia. Let me explain a little more about that and why it was so very important. In 2019, a Georgia senator resigned before his term was up. The governor of Georgia then appointed Kelly Loeffler to the position. Because she was appointed and not elected, she could only serve until the next election, which we just had. At the time of the election, there was what's considered a special election when several people ran against her, including Reverend Warnock. He ran as a Democrat. In order to win her seat, she needed to get over 50% of the vote. She did not. So the top two candidates, her and Warnock, had an election between them. The other senator, David Perdue, was up for re-election. His opponent was Jon Ossoff. In the regular election, David Perdue won more of the vote, but not enough to be declared the winner. He didn't get over 50%. So Perdue and Ossoff also had to have a runoff election. Both Loeffler and Perdue are big Trump supporters. Both have given money to his campaigns, and Trump has campaigned for them. Both said they would vote against certifying the vote counts for President-elect Biden. It is very unusual for an incumbent, that means one who is presently in office, to lose re-election. And Georgia has never, ever voted for a black or Jewish senator before now. Funny thing happened though. First, Georgia voted for President-elect Biden. In the South, it turned blue. The Democratic Party is said to be the blue party and the Republicans are said to be the red party. So that's what I mean by the state becoming blue. This made people worry that maybe Loeffler and Perdue wouldn't have such an easy time at this re-election. Then Trump and his henchmen, such as Roger Stone, started campaigning heavily for Loeffler and Perdue, and more people became uncomfortable with re-electing them. Georgia has been hit hard by COVID-19. The CDC is based in Atlanta, Georgia, and many scientifically minded people were angry that Trump has made it difficult for the CDC to give the nation the help it needed. The Republicans started to say that the election was rigged and votes were fraudulent, and actually told other Republicans in Georgia to not go out and vote. Don't go vote, they were telling people. How funny is that? We want you to elect these Republican senators without voting for them. That's not really how it works in this country. Perdue and Loeffler both made money from stocks that they bought and sold after being briefed on COVID protocols. That seemed rather suspicious. Warnock and Ossoff both had platforms that embrace science and helping everyday people. Loeffler owns a basketball team in Atlanta, and the entire team came out with shirts for Reverend Warnock and said they would vote for him, not Loeffler. The tide was turning. It wasn't without worry. In order to win and not have a recount, each person, that means Warnock or Ossoff or Perdue or Loeffler, each had to have more than half of a percentage point lead, 0.5%. Traditionally, Democrats vote in the early election and by mail. The problems with the post office and the mail delivery this season has everyone concerned. There are votes that won't be counted ever because they arrived after the deadline of January 8th, 2021. Republicans typically vote on the day of the election. In Georgia, they don't count early votes. They count the votes for the day of the election first. Then they count the votes of early voters and mail-in votes. That is why many Trump supporters claim that the election was fraudulent. The votes are prepared to be counted, but they aren't actually counted until the day of the election. So when suddenly the numbers make a significant change from Republican to a Democrat, people think that means fraud took place. But that didn't happen. Warnock clearly won, and by enough of a margin that Loeffler conceded on Wednesday. Perdue finally conceded on Friday, January 8th, 2021. Neither Senator Warnock or Ossoff will be sworn in yet. The counties have until January 15th to certify their vote, and then the Secretary of State has until January 22nd to certify them to the governor. After this is done, which could happen before those dates, that's just when it has to be done by him, they will then be sworn in. Loeffler will continue to act as senator until Warnock is sworn in. Perdue is no longer senator because his term expired on January 3rd. Why did I tell you all of that? Because I think it's important to know the facts and understand why people might say the elections were fraudulent. But the reality is they were not. And because it now means that the Senate will have 48 Democrats and 2 independents who vote with the Democratic caucus and 50 Republicans. Since Vice President Kamala Harris is the deciding vote whenever there is a tie, Republicans are no longer considered the majority party in the Senate. Mitch McConnell will not be the majority leader. Mitch McConnell has blocked bill after bill from even being considered by the Senate for a vote. There are many immigration changes that need to happen, which I've talked about in several videos that I'll link below. It is much more likely that those changes will now happen because of this vote in Georgia. I know many of you will want to know what I think will happen with amnesty and DACA or Dreamers. Right now, none of us truly know. We know President-elect Biden has said he wants to do something about those without legal status, including Dreamers. We also know that there is still a lot of animosity from Republicans who supported Trump. Will they be willing to put that aside and help the country heal? Will Biden be able to focus on immigration with so many people dying from COVID and the impact it is having on the economy? I hope so, but only time will tell. You can be sure when we learn about it, we will tell you about it. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you have questions you'd like us to answer, please post them below. We really appreciate your likes, comments, and shares, and look forward to talking to you in our office or on Zoom because the Green Card Doctor makes house calls. Stay healthy and be well.